Hey, where are you pointing that camera? Just point it over here. Hi, hello. Sorry about the unpleasant imagery. I know most of you aren't used to seeing people who watch the Disney Channel in the current year. Also, I think our cameraman might have Parkinson's. You know what I like? Crossovers. It's really cool seeing a thing you like crossover with another thing you like, and it can lead to all kinds of creative stories utilizing the strengths of both properties. There's a reason why Marvel fans get excited when their wife has a crossover of their best friend in bed. Really ahead of their time, those guys. It's unexpected, it's surprising, and it's just cool to watch these super different characters interact with each other. By the way, she has in fact signed the divorce papers, so you should probably take care of that. I heard she's taking the kids and the Funko Pops. Now, Disney, they're no stranger to crossovers in the slightest. With the insane amount of IPs they own the rights to, there was bound to be a couple or dozen scattered around over the years. And while a shocking number of them do happen to be Disney sitcom slop, there was one Disney crossover show that I used to watch obsessively as a kid and still holds up shockingly well to this day. I'm of course talking about House of Mouse, a massive number of Disney characters faithfully reanimated and voiced, all attending a club hosted by Mickey Mouse and his friends as they gave the viewers a clip show of all the new Disney cartoons in between their own original stories for each episode. It's the most amount of effort I've ever seen put into a clip show. The animation was fantastic, the presentation overall was really charming, and the writing was on point, and it's still funny to me as an adult. While the crossover characters didn't exactly play a massive role in the episodes, they still managed to bring back all of their old VAs to reprise their roles, and they were still given some really funny dialogue and neat character interactions. I used to be obsessed with this show as a kid. My family had a fair few DVDs of the show that I used to play on repeat, though I'm not sure if they were official and weren't just burned onto an already blank disc. We lost a lot of them a while ago, and the only House of Mouse DVDs I can find online are the Christmas and Villain specials. But while this was far from my ideal Disney crossover, House of Mouse was pretty neat.
I'll get a chance to show your audience some real comedy.
Oh, I didn't know they made a film of your last date.
And unfortunately, since then, we haven't had a proper Disney crossover series at all. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this: potential legal stuff I don't know about, animation getting more expensive, or just the simple fact that no one wanted to make a series like House of Mouse ever again. Well, that was until a couple of years ago, because after so many years of the concept being ignored— can you just center the fucking camera? After so many years of the concept being ignored, someone finally stepped up to the plate and decided, hey, let's do a crossover series with all of the modern day Disney television characters, and great! That's what I've been wanting. And since I actually like a lot of these shows, I was kinda excited to see what cool crossover shenanigans they could do with IPs like Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Amphibia, Owl House, Gravity Falls— oh god! Dipper, what do they do to you? Hey, glad you smoothed things over with your wife, but you didn't need to leave your Funko Pops lying around. This is Disney's Chibiverse, the crossover series that really makes you go, wait, didn't you cancel this show because of gay people? Well, ain't that a bitch? You get your show canned and third season sabotaged, and then the company starts parading the gays around behind your back for publicity. No wonder Dana Terrace went indie for her next show. That's just disrespectful. Okay, back on topic. Disney's Chibiverse features all of your favorite characters from your favorite modern Disney shows, and also Primos, as they are painfully and brutally crunched down into bite-sized chibi versions of themselves and all live in a tiny little world monitored by scientists. Wait, do I actually care enough to make this video?
Oh, so you're not using this?
Wait,
hey,
no,
thanks for the
Braxton, you
idea.
bastard! Fuck no. I gotta do this now just to spite Just Stop. You should definitely not check out his video when it comes out. You're watching mine right now, goddammit. You wanna know why I was glazing House of Mouse a second ago? Well, Chibiverse is basically the modern day equivalent to House of Mouse, except instead of using all of Disney's iconic movie characters, they're using their most iconic TV characters, and instead of being good, it's really bad, and really weird. This is a weird show. Not because of what happens in it, but conceptually this might be the most crack pipe crossover they could have made. The whole chibi approach specifically sticks out to me. I don't think I need to explain what a chibi is, nor do I need to list the many examples of its usage in anime. Disney randomly started making a bunch of chibi shorts of their cartoon characters a few years back and would upload them to YouTube, where they would do shockingly high numbers, honestly. I get that kids consume anything Disney related put on YouTube, but the fact that some of these have as many as 30 million views is kind of insane to me. It's at the point where if you search chibi on YouTube, you're only going to find Disney and the Chicago Grim Reaper. These shorts were usually just 1 to 2 minute skits with no dialogue, where a terrifying homunculus resembling an iconic Disney character will have a wacky adventure or something, with pacing so fast your neck will end up damaged if you're too close to the screen. Simplest way I can describe these shorts is that while they're surface level cute and completely harmless, It's a content farm. It's an officially licensed Disney content farm. The animation and artwork are super simple and far easier to animate than normal Disney stuff. A lot of the stories are either nonsensical or just so fast-paced you have to actually be an infant to enjoy them, and they're easily mass-produced and re-uploaded multiple times in a row on YouTube in the form of individual uploads and multiple compilations. It's free and very easy money, and frankly from a business perspective, it's absolutely genius. And I'm guessing that Disney being Disney, seeing there was easy money on the table, gave the green light for an entire show based around this concept, which, you know, fair enough, I guess. Business got a business at the end of the day, and it's not like there's anything of actual quality on the Disney Channel these days, but you take one look at this show and you realize a few things that feel off. Again, the whole chibi thing, I'm gonna keep it real, this is not chibi. This is like the most corporate recreation of what chibi actually looks like I've ever seen. Chibi has so many interesting and different ways in which it can look that make it really fun, and the most that Disney's Chibiverse can really muster is crunching down all of the character designs and just slapping some weird looking anime eyes on them. That comparison to Funko Pops wasn't just me trying to be cute and tying up a previous joke, they deadass just look like Funko Pops. It's such a bland yet ugly art style, and if we're being real here, the only reason we got a Disney crossover show in this not chibi art style is for budget reasons. These character designs are extremely simple and are given pretty limited animation. This series does not look that expensive to produce, nor that time consuming to animate. Animation is always going to take a while no matter how simple it looks, but going by Disney standards, it's clear this is a very low budget series. Anyway, too long don't watch. It's not Black Butler Ending 1 featuring I'm Alive by Becca, okay? I am extremely biased. Second of all, the whole show has this sickening corporate atmosphere to it, and I really don't like it. It feels like a show that was scientifically engineered to appeal to the fandoms of many popular long-ended Disney shows. And given that one of the episodes specifically focuses on shipping, complete with inserting the fan-made names for ships like Starco and Lumity, it's clear the people behind this show know exactly who their target audience is outside of very little kids. A lot of these shows maintain active fandoms to this day that are mostly comprised of teens to young adults, and bringing back all of these shows and their respective voice actors and throwing them into a goofy crossover world is a very good marketing strategy. I probably would have loved this show if it had a budget and actually had effort put into its writing, we'll get there. And on that note, the show just feels super tone deaf when you realize that a good number of shows featured here were not exactly treated the best by Disney while they were still airing. I already ranted about Owl House, but dude, Wander Over Yonder? Disney threw that show in the trash. There's something extremely tone deaf about seeing these shows be resuscitated into this cold, corporate chibi aesthetic and puppeted around after Disney dealt them such a bad hand. And I wish I could say the show itself had some redeeming qualities, but guys, there's only so many blanks I can draw, my brain can only comprehend so much slop, I'm a feeding Spider-Man main, leave me alone. Chibiverse, much like House of Mouse, is a clip show, and unlike House of Mouse, it's incredibly lazy about it. Animation aside, the actual writing of Chibiverse feels like I'm being fed feet first into a wood chipper, whereas House of Mouse had smart and witty dialogue and actually interesting interactions between its crossover characters, Chibiverse barely has what I would call jokes. Every original segment of this show, specifically the first 2 seasons, is a constant stream of the most nothing, so that just happened tier of jokes, and that makes me die of cringe. Anything that isn't that barely even registers as a joke, and there aren't many fun or creative ways that it could have these different characters interact with each other besides having petty arguments or pleasant conversations. It sucks too, because they got so many VAs back for this show. Like the fact they managed to get Keith David, Alex Hirsch, and David Tennant to reprise their roles as Andrea, Stan, and Scrooge McDuck is really cool, and I would have loved to see these characters actually interact in more interesting ways or be put in more entertaining adventures. Shit, we don't even get adventures. There's little to no plot in each episode, as each episode mostly consists of clip shows. I think it's something like a 70-30 split between actually original and voiced content, and them showing the dialogueless skits. And speaking of these skits, despite there being tons of these damn things on YouTube, the show will regularly recycle shorts even an episode apart from when they were last used. I am not kidding when I say this show is slop. I know people like to throw the term around at anything they dislike these days, but seriously, seasons 1 and 2 of Chibiverse are just slop. There's not an even split of funny original content and old cartoons like with House of Mouse. It's just an excuse to shuffle as many of these chibi shorts as possible into a 22-minute long episode of television. Oh yeah, well there aren't many episodes, they're all 22 minutes long. 22-minute episodes where 70% of the runtime is just recycled shorts with no dialogue, and they're not even segued into the show in a way that feels like the writers gave a damn. There will be like a minute's worth of original stuff, and then they'll have a character look at the screen and say, while we sort out the situation, here's some more chibi adventures, and it's just that on repeat for 20 minutes. Sometimes they don't even segue into the shorts, they just happen.
Make that 3.
What? There was no transition, they just cut to the shorts. Oh my god, this show is so lazy. Now, the show isn't without its charms, obviously.
As bad as the presentation is and how short the original stuff is too.
There are some moments here that I thought were kind of amusing.
I'd give our next guest a pat on the back, but she's recovering from a sword wound.
Okay, fuck you. I enjoyed the segments of Marcy and Perry the Platypus roasting Doofenshmirtz the most. It wasn't exactly funny, I just thought they were actually neat instances of these characters interacting for a change. But these moments are few and far between. Now, you may be wondering, Cartoonchi, why do you care so much about Chibiverse? I like crossovers, man. Also, this show is clearly trying to appeal to the teenage young adult audience that makes up the majority of these shows' online fandoms, which just so happens to make me the target demographic for a change, so I'm gonna be a dickhead and say that I wish we had a better Disney crossover show. I really do love House of Mouse. In fact, sometimes when I'm bored, there's a good selection of comfort shows I like to put on while I do other things, and House of Mouse is one of them. Ideally, I would want a Disney crossover show to not rely so heavily on being a clip show, and actually have these characters cross over and interact in more meaningful ways. I want to see fun adventures with these characters, and while House of Mouse managed to make the clip show stuff work, it doesn't change the fact that I'd really like it if we had a proper crossover show featuring all of these iconic Disney characters that actually had a budget. It's a long shot, obviously, given the current state of Disney, but I guarantee if they made a show like that and put it on Disney Plus, it would do crazy well, especially if it's trying to appeal to kids and, more importantly, the many active fandoms these shows still have. The Gravity Falls fandom specifically is desperate for new content, especially if it's animated, and the show keeps exploding with new fans every year. Amphibia and Owl House similarly have very active fandoms online. You can't go 5 minutes on Twitter without seeing a massive account tweeting about their nostalgia for Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, etc., and getting millions of impressions. If there was an actual crossover show for Disney television characters that had a lot more time and effort put into it instead of being disposable brain rot, then that'd be f***ing awesome. I know tons of people who'd watch that, and it really puts into perspective how pathetic Chibiverse is as an attempt at appealing to these fandoms. This is far below the bare minimum. Well, at least the first 2 seasons are. See, the first 2 seasons are what I've just described. Low effort, recycled slop. It's boring, it's agonizing to sit through, it's just not entertaining. Season 3, on the other hand, while only 1 episode in, is a massive improvement. Not to the point that I call it good, but to be blunt, it's more of what I'm actually looking for in a Disney crossover series. It completely ditches the clip show format and instead consists of 3 short 7-minute stories per episode where they actually have the characters interact with each other in interesting ways. Again, I still don't think it's good, but it's at least tolerable and mildly enjoyable, which is still a massive improvement in my eyes. Actually, I lied. There was one segment in this episode that I genuinely thought was pretty good. Would you like to guess which one it was? Look, I'm not even trying to glaze Gravity Falls here, please do not hold this against me. The Stan's 11 segment where Stan gets together a team of characters to rob Scrooge McDuck was legitimately the first time throughout the whole show that I laughed. Again, I get I'm the Gravity Falls glazing guy, but how else am I meant to explain why there was a sudden jump in writing quality the moment Stan and Seuss get put in an episode and Alex Hirsch gets thrown into the recording booth?
My whole life I've had one humble dream: to rob Scrooge McDuck.
The jokes in this one are actually funny, creative, and I mean, it's Stan Pines versus Scrooge McDuck. These are the kinds of creative pairings of characters that I want to see, as it leads to an episode that I genuinely think is funny and worth watching. Like hearing Stan Pines say all his life he's wanted to steal from Scrooge McDuck is so comically jarring, yet absolutely something Stan himself would say. Like, I can't say much else, that is just funny. It's just funny. And I'm hoping that the rest of the episodes for Season 3 are as good as this. As much as I still despise the presentation, Season 3 at the very worst will just be pleasant but inoffensive, which I will take any day over an officially licensed content farm. And if they ever do revisit the concept of a Disney crossover show, just make it more like this. No more lazy clip shows, and if you're gonna put effort into the clip shows, then don't do that either. Do something fresh with these characters. Do stuff that appeals to longtime fans and kids alike. There is so much potential for a good Disney crossover series. Hell, a Disney crossover anything. Like, how are we in a reality where both Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon get to have Smash clones, but the most Disney does is hit Dr. Doofenshmirtz with the Funko Pop beam? Chibiverse is a very weird series, and if you're the type of person who doesn't mind how it looks or how shitty the writing is, and just want to see your favorite character and hear your favorite VAs, then I won't stop you from enjoying yourself. I'll just judge you silently. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Play Yakuza or something.